Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G. Back after a week break with a special guest. But before we get started, follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcast and on social media. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your social media. DM me, let me know what's going on, how I'm doing. Good criticism, bad criticism, everything's good criticism to me. I like it. Iron sharpens iron. We got a good guest, ladies and gentlemen, by the name of Knuckle Draggers. Wait, Devin, my bad, Devin Daniels. We'll talk about that here in a second too, huh? Little backstory. But thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Yes, Gunner Sergeant, got it. Thank you, appreciate it. We talked over the phone already. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
All right, how you guys doing? Pit Talk. I'm coming at you guys from Kalamazoo, North Carolina. I'm feeling pretty good today. So just a quick insight of my background, where I come from Tampa, Florida. Obviously active duty, Marine Corps, corporal, stationed out here in 320311. Coming from FAST, so Security Forces baby, PCS, and coming up on that EAS timeline, but we'll see where the Marine Corps takes me, right, or not.
That's Security Forces, huh? You sure you were in Kings Bay?
I was FAST, so I actually.
Oh, you were in. Were you in where were you at then? That's right.
Yeah, not too far from Hartford, though.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, sweet. Shoot, how old are you?
I am 22. Just turned 22 in February.
Wow, just barely old enough to drink. That's crazy.
Stay away from the alcohol. Whoever's listening, if you're a service member, stay away from it. It's not.
That's crazy. Let's get into it, man. Hey, I started following you on Instagram and social media. Instagram, actually, to be honest. Knuckle Draggers. Where did that come from?
Okay, so right, that name, well, that term has some racial ties. I didn't realize that initially.
No kidding.
Yeah, did not realize that initially. But so first deployment was to Rota, Spain. And I got to say, it was a booze cruise. It was amazing. Outside of the activation, the actual mission that we had out there is just a great time. If you're ever looking for a duty station, or you want some orders, and you want to go Oconus, wow, Rota, Spain. But yeah, while we were out there, first deployment, I was activated, and my platoon took part in Operation Allies Refuge. So for us, on a grander scale, that was going on around the world. For us, my platoon, we participated in what's the name? Italy, and Naval Air Station Sigonella, Italy. So we were the ground zero for the refugees following the bombing of Kabul, Afghanistan. The 13 service members that passed away, we were the recipient of the backlash of that initial contact made in Kabul. And, pretty strenuous hours, 13, 14-hour shifts. We were the security element. So, nothing crazy, but we just ensured that, everyone had safe, visitation, board, search and seizure coming off the birds, and, medical inboarding, citizenship, stuff like that. But in my off time, right, I just say that all as a preface. In my off time, me and the boys, we'd go play basketball. And I was looking at one of these dudes in my platoon. I'm like, man, his name is Lukash. I was like, Lukash, you are built funny, man. Like, you have these super long arms, this compressed torso. Like, you are a knuckle dragger, right? And I thought the term was just, something you used to, poke fun at somebody who's built a little funny. When in reality, it actually has some racial ties to African Americans. But I thought, I looked back and, when the idea of creating content came to mind, I said, okay, well, what's going to be my brand identity? What's going to be something that, embodies what I think a Marine is? And to me, knuckle dragger stuck out. Somebody who's, maybe not the smartest, but they're strong and they get what they need to get done. So.
That's funny though. That's crazy. When I first followed you, I was like, "What? Knuckle dragger?"
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
He's no way. I like it. Whether you meant it or not on purpose, I like it.
Yeah.
You know, the best
It's,
remedy in life is laughing, right? Comedy,
oh, 100%.
be a comedian. And I thought that's what it was. But you know, to each their own. I like it though. Hey, you don't change it for nobody. Don't change your ways. Let's get right into it, man. Hey, so all right, so the
Yeah.
sound turned to the funky real quick. All right, let's perfect. What are some you know, I got you on here because you're 22, I'm 36. Okay. You're
Okay.
not married. I'm married. I have four kids. You have none. As you can tell by the
Trying to get like
backdrop,
you.
right? You're in the
Yeah.
barracks.
Yeah.
So there's some differences already in culture and in life, right? God forbid I use knuckle draggers. Oh my goodness, you know how much people would, you know, it's like there's already cultural differences there, uh, the obvious ones too. Um, you know, let's get right into it. So, you know, I sent you some questions over a couple weeks back to see get you prepped, but you know, some challenges you face bridging the gap. You know, with military organizations,
Yeah.
you have cohesion and effectiveness, but because of the age difference, you know, we're expected as staff NCOs and officers to bring everybody together, right? But in all reality, right, like how do you know what is it that you do that is way different to me? Everything. And
Yeah.
how are you know what are some common challenges you face from your superiors and then your peer group? Well, you know, there's obviously some differences. How does that affect unit cohesion?
I think it comes down to selfishness versus selflessness. Um, Within my peer group, there is a big focus on what can the Marine Corps do for me rather than what can I do for the Marine Corps. And I'm not sure if where that line got blurred or where that was a pivot of my generation's focus. But I feel like a lot of staff NCOs coming up, there was less of an individualistic mindset. Um, yeah, is there anything wrong with that? Not necessarily. Like I would love to see Marines get ahead in this tumultuous world, whether they stay in or get out. I'll speak on my generation the best I know how, and that is that you know we're looking to do better for ourselves a lot more so than the organization. Um, and you know
You
that can
know,
be to the detriment. That can be to the detriment of the unit, right? When we think about the individual succeeding. Um, But you know, it could also be a good thing because if everybody's hitting on all cylinders, then what does that do? It means the team is succeeding. So I think maybe we do some redefining of what it means to kind of come up and better yourself while also contributing to what the group's got going on. But yeah, that's my biggest takeaway from my generation.
that's crazy. So you know, I'm always a big proponent of recruiting because you know they do a lot of work. But here's my issue with and again, it's a good take. You know, the tags, right?
Yeah,
You know what is in it? What's in it for you?
yeah,
School, fun and adventure, me,
yeah, right.
and then you obviously you know they got some team little tags there. But I always say that if you're recruiter listening, it starts with you, man. It definitely starts with you. You buy the young individual and say, look, yeah, you're gonna get great school. Just join. Okay, cool. I'm in it for just a school. Whatever happens, happens. But then you lose the mentality of selfless
See,
service, right?
exactly. I talked to my OIC in passing. We just had a brief conversation. He said, "What would you do, Corporal Daniels, to fix some of the recruiting issues and retention?" I said, "I honestly don't think it comes down to retention. The Marine Corps does have a not turn them and burn them, but this is a very physically demanding job, at least coming from O3 perspective, and so you're going to expect some higher attrition rates um, coming out because there's some people who can't support that sustainability. You know, they gave it all they had and they did their 4, their 5, their 6, and they get out and that's fine. I think it truly comes down to the recruiting effort. Um, and at that level, I believe that there is a push that needs to be made getting away from throwing benefits at people. I think first and foremost, people should want to be a Marine. Um, what comes after that is cool. But what happens when you dangle a carrot in front of somebody's head and you say, hey, this is, you're going to get your GI, you're going to be able to naturalize your family if you're immigrant or coming from a alien background. What ends up happening is once they achieve those things, they might check out. Rather than if you got them on the premise of, I want to be a Marine, everything that else that comes with it, cool. But, if you have that Marine first mindset, that's what they'll be honed in on the duration of their contract, whether they do the 4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if, General Smith. Thank God he's back on the seat for driving the bus. The commandant, right? He did mention he had a statement. Your bonus is the Marine, is the title Marine.
Yeah, and
do you see how much backlash he got for that?
That got a lot of people upset, and I can understand why. I can understand why that face value is going to piss people off. Now, I'd say a good chunk of the anger and the pushback was context. People didn't understand that he was talking about recruiting versus retaining a Marine, right? Once they've earned the title. Because some of our bonuses for the higher MOSs are super competitive. And in my opinion, they're putting you on par in terms of purely financial compensation with some officers, some enlisted service members with the 60, 70, 80, $95,000 bonuses are making their OIC's, counterpart in terms of, compensation, which is insane. And not to say that other branches don't offer that, but not too educated on them. But yeah, man, a lot of things come down to context.
Absolutely. I did get upset. One of my buddies mentioned it. He goes, I don't agree with it. I was like, well, you're not totally out, peel the onion back. I agree with it. Shoot. If you throw money at a young individual, 18-year-old, all they're going to care about is money. Right. And then if they don't get more money, then you got a retention problem 4 years later. Right. And that group, that year that you got Marines, well, 4 years later, or however long later, well, you're going to have a gap because they don't want to re-enlist because you didn't get money no more. So anyways, they're here or there, but, different opinions. But, you got common challenges, obviously, for you. And then you got perspectives and leadership, communication styles, and work ethic between superiors and your peer group, subordinates, right? Tell me what the difference is that you see, and then maybe how they can, and how does that contribute to tension, and again, back to the 3 years, how does it affect the morale of the team, blah, 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 because you're not pulling your weight there, Devin.
Yeah. I think the difference contributes to tension. And when there's tension, people start speaking different languages, especially your staff NCOs and your junior enlisted coming from different backgrounds and being raised in a different Marine Corps. So what I mean when I say that is, for example, mass punishment. Some people look on that very fondly. My first sergeant, for example, we had dudes coming through, Friday, Saturday night, trashing the barracks, blowing out exit signs, just, typical PFC activity, after hours on Liberty. And in response to that, and he was very calm, cool, and collected about this. In response to that, first sergeant said, NCOs, so E4, E5, you guys are going to stand duty exclusively on the individual decks. We got 5 floors in our building. That left a lot of people upset because a good chunk of our sergeants, some of our corporals, they got BAH. They're living off base. They're married. They have kids, families, whatever it may be. And, in the eyes of a first sergeant, who lived that truth where mass punishment gave incentive to the individual to keep everybody else in check, that makes sense. And so it worked for him. Why would it not work for us? That is a mindset. Is it one that stands true to the test of time? I don't think so. I think our generation, I think it's a solution. I don't know if it's the right one, right? And I think our generation is, again, not necessarily focused on group success. They understand that if they do well, that and everybody else is on their level, it's something that we can all achieve collectively. But it's really just teaching old tricks to a new dog. And I think that's where the conflict comes into play, because a lot of my peers, they do not look at mass punishment fondly, and in some cases they have responded worse to it than if the individual was punished for their actions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Decisions that affect good order and discipline, right?
Yeah,
The Red Solo Cup, in fact, you're talking about, doing PSC things, right?
yeah,
Um, so those PSC things that you do, Devin, uh, affect everybody, not just the individual, right? So when you say, "Hey, since numbnuts over there is affecting the organization, let me make something that's going to affect and bring the good order and discipline."
yeah,
And that's obviously going to affect the masses, right? So sometimes those hard decisions are made at the highest level,
yeah,
and it's just I've been in your shoes too, right? But then that goes into my next point. You have attitudes, approaches to problem solving.
yeah.
My maybe it comes with time, and maybe it comes with experience, sure. But right now, is there a difference in problem solving attitudes and values and differences in terms of problem solving?
There's 100% a difference. I, however, think that leaders, and again, you talked about time and experience coming with that position. I don't think leaders have the luxury to budge on what works. Right? Like the Marine Corps is a very tried and true system. Like everything that we do has a purpose.
Mm.
Um, and coming into it, and even earning the title, right? Like just graduating boot camp, you get a taste of it, but I'm still learning what that means. I'm still learning what it means to trust in what the doctrine says. Like that's something that I feel like you gotta put on every day and kind of
Mhm.
like make a genuine effort to comprehend, because a lot of things at face value are going to make you upset. Like, why do I have to be here 15 minutes early to this 15 minutes early to this 15 minutes? Well, because this guy's not going to show up on time. This guy's car broke down. This guy's stuck at the gate. So there's a lot of, fail stops to ensure that deadlines are met. But off rip, me coming to the fleet, I'm like, why am I here 2 hours early? What is this? It's like there's time and experience that comes with that. Okay, oh, that makes sense. Like that's why I'm here so early, because there's all of these different contingencies. There's a lot at play. Uh, I think some of the conflict and the tension is going to remain between the staff NCOs and the junior Marines. I think that's a necessary evil that comes with it. Uh, the next question is where can we meet in the middle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think simply that just means more compensation. Like if we're going to expect that service members at that junior level deal with so much, and I don't even think it's a difference in the staff NCOs, the officers, and the junior Marines, but this is like Marine Corps wide, right? Like we know some of the things we do are going to be dirty work, or they're going to be egregious hours, or just a tougher job than most would be accustomed to. I think if we're going to expect people to put up with that, it just comes down to more compensation after you've earned that title, right? We're not talking about recruits, but
Yeah.
I think that comes down to more compensation, just paying people what they're worth. Like if we know that Marines are going to be dealing with a bunch of nonsense, let's treat them as such.
That's true. Hey, look, I'm with you. But to that point too, is it the Marine Corps has a mentorship program? Does that leverage and facilitate my culture versus your culture, or does it just make it a formality? And look, I gotta be here because the Marine Corps tells me to be here. In terms of mentorship in the program, uh, can you elaborate on that in terms of mentality?
Mentorship is relevant. It always will be. I think that's something that stands the test of time. But how we articulate that, I think it has to change. Or I think it's on the path to, regardless. And whether that be a Marine progressing within their MOS, or exploring the idea of an SDA. If we're talking about mentorship in a career sense, it could be exploring an SDA, or maybe we sit down with a Marine who has a plan to get out, and we have a conversation to see if that makes sense. A lot of people discourage the Marine Corps
Mhm.
coming up on that EAS timeline for reasons that exist in the civilian sector. Like they'll say, I want to get out, or this isn't for me. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go work this job with the same set of conditions, maybe even worse, for equal pay, maybe even less. Say, okay, well, why are you leaving something behind that you're familiar with? Right? Maybe it's chaotic, but it's a chaos that you know, right? And that you're
Yeah.
familiar with. Why are you leaving something behind for something new that's not guaranteed, right? That's the grass isn't greener effect. But yeah, I think mentorship is relevant, but its relevancy has a new definition.
That's good. I'll tell you what, man. You know, you're 22. I'm 36. You're definitely well spoken. I appreciate, and I appreciate that. You seem very mature for a 22-year-old. And
Thank
I'll
you.
tell you what, even with the red solo cup during working hours, I'm not saying nothing. There's probably water in there. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. But don't worry, I won't put. I'll clip it out. I'll put a little like a hemoglobin anchor. Drinking the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid kind of thing.
yeah. Sipping the Kool-Aid.
Uh,
Of course. Of course.
just kidding. But let me ask you this. How did why do you make the content you do in terms of your social media? You do a lot of good stuff, and then you do a lot of controversial stuff that maybe old heads don't agree
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Why
Uh,
do you do that?
yeah. I want to preface before I say anything. I got love for all my recruiters. I know you guys are in my comments, fighting the good fight. I'm on your side. I'm an advocate of the Marine Corps. I think I'm not sure what his is. He might be a staff sergeant or a gunnery sergeant. He's a staff NCO. He's a recruiter. Um, he reposted a video of Joey Nguyen, a similar content creator, his interview that he conducted with his first lieutenant, and first lieutenant was saying that our recruiters are simply the dotted line guys, but the true recruitment of Marines is through word of mouth, is through the referral, is through how I represent the service and how I speak on it. I
Blowing
agree with that
shot.
wholeheartedly. I agree with it
Oh
wholeheartedly.
boy.
I would advocate that anybody join the Marine Corps. Just wanted to preface that because I know a lot of times, like you said, my content can kind of stir some controversy, or people with differing experiences and perspectives come in, and they disagree with what I have to say. I make the content simply because it's something I wanted to see coming into the Marine Corps. I just didn't have that. It's insightful. It makes people think. It makes people talk, and it challenges me to shape my beliefs to what I know true. And true, man, as a PFC, as a Lance, I'm a corporal now, but as a PFC, as a Lance, coming into the Marine Corps, there were a lot of not misconceptions, but just ignorance to benefits provided, to ways you can advocate for yourself, ways you can better yourself outside of exclusively what the Marine Corps has to offer, the PME, the MOS proficiency, which are all very important. And might I add, mission comes first. What you can do in your free time is your free time, right? But it's simply just a voice for a younger me. That's all it is. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
it's good. I appreciate it. I would comment, but I just like to
Yeah.
I'm eating the popcorn when the comments come in. I'm like, this is good. Great.
Oh
It's
yeah.
great. I like it.
Yeah.
I like
And
it. I do. I do.
really cool. It's really cool to see so many different perspectives. I'd say, half of it is either recruiters reposting, or, I got people who come out the woodworks on some of the viral videos, and, they'll say, you're a PSYOP, you're a Fed. I'm not getting paid outside of my base pay and the comrades that I get. I am not, this is all of my own accord. I'd be awesome, headquarters Marine Corps, if you're listening, man. I'll be a rep, because I'm already doing it. I might as well get paid for it. But no,
Get that extra little bonus. Like the Army does the full-time rappers. Might as well full-time content creators.
look, if they got the budget, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I don't think I'd ever put myself in that position. but it's a little corny to me. But I'm not hating. They're making their money and they're serving their country. You can't be mad at that.
That's true. Hey, I am at. Do I agree with it? You could probably do a little bit better with the budget, but you know what? It is what it is. Hey, I'm sure they'll get more. It's again the recruiting issue, the talent issue, whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they're pulling back. I'm not there. I don't work there, so I don't care.
Yeah,
But hey, they got the budget for it. I agree. They should have the budget for a content, and they do have combat camera.
that is true, man.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how
they
many
don't
times that has come across my mind. Man.
lateral move, homie.
It's an option. So yeah, I talked to Career Planner a while back, or at least when I checked into 3-2, which is June of last year. And for me, it did come down to compensation. I kind of just wanted my cake and I wanted to eat it too. So I was like, yeah, I want the lateral move, I want the duty station like location incentive, and I want a bonus. And she was like, absolutely not. I'm a tier 1 Marine, right? But the Marine Corps is not going to accommodate in that sense.
All
I think
three. They commented all three.
yeah, I think they give you 2 out of the 3, and that's if you're a heavy hitter. I think. Don't quote me on that.
I think you'll get one of them if you ask them. Sure, for sure, the lateral move, but you won't get orders to your next duty station until you graduate to MOS. It's cool.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
And then maybe there's an incentive there because you're a careerist and they're boots, boot drop type of feel.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Because you
You
can.
might get 2 out of 3. I don't know about the bonus because I don't think they have a bonus.
They do not. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. In that case, they didn't. Not for any of the Comstrat jobs.
But that's free gear.
Yeah.
Free expensive gear to use.
It's a quality of life too that I'm not accustomed to. There'd be so many benefits. There'd be so many benefits.
Absolutely. Might as well. Did you drop an egg in that basket yet or no?
I did not. So I put in a MESET package. And
Wow.
yeah, I try to commission because I've been banging out school on the side. And I had hit the credit threshold. It's not that much, literally a semester of college. But I lucked out and ended up going for every class that you needed for the program, which is just a math or science, and English, and then 2 electives, if anybody's wondering. And put in the package, but because of a prior PFT failure in the last calendar year, I was dealing with an injury, and I thought, I can't really get behind the light duty. It's just not for me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Bomb the run. The pull-ups, the plank, you eat those, but bomb the run. And because of that, I thought, I could slip in a rerun out of season. Right, and I got 285. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be gold. I'll be straight. My company commander is like, he's like, I love you, man, but this is not something I can put my name on. See, right? All these signatures you got to get, right? He's like, this is not something I can put my name on. He's like, if you truly want to pursue this, shoot for it, because they do 2 boards a year, right? I shot for the first one.
Yep.
He's like, if you truly want to do this, shoot for the second. Once you've run another PFT in season, it's not just a NavMac, it's something like in the S3 on your MOL. That's what the conflict was that the MOL screen didn't reflect the tangible paper. He's like, yeah, just shoot for it next time. He's like, I'll be happy to sign this off. So I got love for my command, and I implore anybody, do your research when it comes to read the more admins. There's a wealth of knowledge. Just a little tangent. There's a wealth of knowledge and programs afforded to Marines, but simply because of ignorance or just lack of spotlight, we don't even know a lot of these things exist. So
look, man, I'll tell you what, Devin. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. Taking time out of your busy schedule. 0311 infantry. Red Solo Cup during working hours. It is what it is. I understand, but I would say that if you really want it, put an egg in the basket. Let the Marine Corps, come back. Put the cards on the table for the Marine Corps. Contract ladder move. MESET package. When you get, I think you got to be a sergeant though.
For what MESET? No, they act so with the
what
board before. Yes, the board before class. You can read. I've screenshot it because I've had so many people. They're like, "Oh, you have to be a sergeant." No. They just dropped it to they just dropped it to corporal. And it's
What the?
funny story too. So my one of my boys that I went to security forces training company with following ITB, he was 8th and I. And 8th and I, obviously, you run into the commandant quite a bit, in the ACMAC as well. So this was General Smith, at the time, Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, was just kind of roving the post, seeing what the Marines were up to and, how they were doing, welfare check, whatever. And my friend, one of my boys, his COG was super into college and had all these credits. I don't know if they were prior to the Marine Corps or what, but he was just killing it in school. And I guess he was just kind of sad because he found out that you had to be a sergeant to apply. He just picked up corporal. He thought it was just NCO and you were good. And so he was sitting on post, kind of upsetty spaghetti. And at the time, Acting Smith says, Marine, what's got you down? And he's like, oh, well, sir, or well, General, I wanted to apply to this MISA program, but I just found out you have to be a sergeant. So you're gonna have to wait, year or two or whatever the case. And he's like, really? You have to be a sergeant? He's like, yes, sir. You have to be a sergeant. He's like, not anymore. You don't. Same day, calls headquarters Marine Corps. The next day, more admin drops. Now it's for E-Force.
Wow.
Yeah. And that,
That's
that's a heartwarming story, right? Like, good for that Marine, but that's a heartwarming story. And that's some of the things that, we don't see or they don't get publicized.
Yeah.
You want to talk about taking care of Marines or giving them the opportunity to succeed and stay in the Corps and giving them options and incentives to, want to be a Marine. That's it right there. And that's more than just the money, right? Like, he moved heaven and earth so that this Marine could continue on in the service.
Yeah, and then has great impacts. What the frick?
Mm-hmm.
Too bad I was in that. Yeah, really, it blows my mind now. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Yeah.
The things that happened during this time, this era, this season. But man, I'll tell you what. One more question, because you're on your chow time. But I got to give you an opportunity to go eat. God forbid I take your chow time. You're gonna tell on me, John.
Yeah. No, that's how they get you. That's how they get you. You think you're doing some good training, all of a sudden, you get a call. No, yeah, go ahead.
So what impact does changing of nature and warfare military operations have the mindset and priorities of younger dudes, like, compared to the older guys? And how do those differences reconcile, maintain operational readiness at your level, right? Because you're an 03.
Yeah.
Tell me, I'm different in mindset, different in season than you are. Again, married, wife, 4 kids, you single and nothing, whatever it is you're going through, making money off of social media.
Yeah.
Right. Different things. How does that affect operational readiness, right? Because your focus is somewhere else, my focus is somewhere else. So I'm going to do what I have to because this is how I eat.
Right.
That's not necessarily how you eat. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, yeah. Operational readiness, that goes into, I think a big contention point for that is the state of a peacetime Marine Corps. And again, it all comes down to foundation. What you came up in was some conflict, whether it was major or minor. The Marine Corps had some play and they had some skin in the game at the time. And so it's just a different atmosphere. Like, people were breathing different. People were carrying themselves different because they knew that, that call or that balloon didn't just go up, but it was looming. It was overhead, versus what we have going on now where it's like, hey, you have the opportunity to pursue personal aspirations outside of what you got going on from the 9 to 5. Now, that's not to detract from our mindset as Marines. As the premier force in expeditionary readiness in a warfighting sense, that just comes with always being ready. And that speaks to proactivity over reactivity, and just kind of keeping in the back of the mind that, like, hey, I benefit from a lot of things that the Marine Corps does for me, but I know what I'm here for. right? Like I've had that conversation with some of my buddies all the time. They're like, "Oh man, what's gonna happen to the content creation if if we ever get the call, right? Like we're about to go to Okinawa." So I'll tell you right now, I'll throw my camera off the ship. I'll I'll keep it a buck. This is cool. I'm blessed that I'm able to do all of this and profit from it as well. But is any of it truly rooted in reality if when the time comes I'm not ready? You know, how can I look at myself and there's a lot of military influencers like that's a new niche. That's a new booming business because a lot of people have a very romanticized, like rose tinted lens, like civilians
Yeah.
specifically, of what service members experience. And then, you can also cater to the audience that is active duty service members as well. But again, am I really about what I'm saying about when the time comes, especially, being in a war fighting organization and then my MOS being 0311 rifleman? It's like, can I really look at myself in the mirror with a straight face if when the time comes I'm not even ready?
Dang, that's crazy. That's a pretty
So
mature attitude, though. I'll tell you what, because
it's a hard question.
absolutely, that's a mature answer too, man. You got to speak to the young folk, not even to the old folk, because the old heads already they've been itching to go back. I don't necessarily think that's that's the
Yeah,
same mentality for the young people, right? I'm like, I ain't trying to go. Hell no, I'm trying to scroll.
I see. I'm trying to scroll, and you're not wrong. And then, nothing's a black and white. I do think there are aspects that we could improve on. My generation, speaking to, in terms of like general, like we don't pay attention. We are very quick to consume something and not be skeptical of it. We are very impatient. I think that those are some things that your generation might excel at. And, I'm sure there's a vice versa. I'm sure there's some things that we've got down pat that or we're doing better than you guys. Um, but again, just being rooted in reality. It's like this is the military. Like first and foremost, this is the military. Um, you're here to combat adversaries, foreign or domestic. It doesn't get any simpler than that. So
You made me want to re-enlist, and you're only 22, homie. I could learn something from you. Goodness gracious,
don't say
that's
that. Don't
wild.
say that because
Your
I
parents raised you right. I want to meet your parents. My
you are
goodness.
not. Oh man,
Hell yeah.
my mom's kooky. I love her, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Nope, it's kooky or not, man. You got a good head on your shoulders, and it's not loose. I can't see any. It's attached pretty well. So she's done an amazing job. You speak very well. You speak very intelligently, and dude, great social media content. Thanks for coming on. For those old folk over here trying to learn new tricks, right? Old dog learning new tricks.
Yes, sir.
And if I can ever help you in any way, and within my power, within my means, you just hit me up, and I'll call Sergeant Major for the unit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, where you stationed at? Garcia?
I'm in Bangor, Washington, Security Forces.
Okay. Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, so up in here doing the Kings Bay, Bangor over here doing the opposite side. You would have this would have been one of your spots, not choosing Fast Company.
It was the goal. Well, okay, Kings Bay was the goal because I'm from Florida, and
Yeah,
every Marine, post boot camp just wants to be as close to home as possible.
Yep.
Surprise for any younger service members. That's actually the worst case scenario. You want to be as far away from home and experience as much as you can outside of your bubble. But yeah, no, I wanted initially when they gave us a preference list. They weren't really they weren't really letting people pick. It was more so like, hey, are you a conscientious objector? Are you going to say something about the nukes or anything like that? I wanted Kings Bay bad, but I'm glad that they sent me to Virginia. It would have been cool to go to Bangor, but I'm glad they sent me to Virginia. I got a lot of really cool missions, training, and then just deployments under my belt that I wouldn't have otherwise. So super.
yeah, that's what's up. I want to go there. I always heard about it. I always wanted to be in support of. You know what I mean? I hear a lot about good things from past companies, so
Oh yeah,
they're
they're
nice.
they're they're a rowdy bunch. They know how to get down, and some of the missions that you get out there are just unheard of. And you're deploying at such a small level, right? Like FMF, you think, herd mentality, just crazy amounts of logistics just to make like one field op happen. Out there, it's like, hey, we got the platoon. Our platoon commander is a captain instead of a first or second lieutenant. You know, you go to the armory, you pull Vicks, you make things happen. It's very fast paced,
So,
as the name implies. And I think it's a good time.
hell yeah, that's what's up, man. Dude, like I said, man, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. You know, you're big on social media, and I appreciate you're thoroughly indoctrinated because when the road meets the road, I got to put it down. This is what I signed up for. And not everybody has the same mentality. If you're listening and you're young and you're around that age gap, you can learn something from Devin. Hey, hit him up on DM. Where can they hit you up on if they want to learn more about Devin? Devin Daniels, the knuckle dragger.
Oh yeah. So
Wait, that sounds bad. That
no, no,
sounded
no. I mean, look, they go hand in hand. It's brand
bad.
identity at this point. Yeah, so knuckle draggers is the word knuckle, so KNUCKLE. One word, draggers follows on DRAGGERZ. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Shoot me a DM. I try to respond if you have any questions about the Marine Corps, content creation, or just some life advice. I've taken on a couple of people as mentors, which blows my mind. Uh, but yeah, no, any questions, any inquiries, comments, concerns, shoot them my way. Try my best to respond.
That email's pretty business related. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No. That's how it shows. Don't speak on that. Don't speak on that. I can't leak that. I can't leak that.
I do. One more thing, I do. If you had one thing to say to everybody listening right now, and they're like really listening and taking it in, what's the one thing you provide them? What's one tool, one tangible, intangible item? Hey, like, look, this is what you need to succeed. What is it?
Whatever you commit to, do so for the right reasons. Whether that's college, whether that's military, whether that's a trade, vocation, whatever it may be. Do not hop shit because it seems like a linear path to success, or someone that you emulate found some success there. That's not always going to be the case for you. You might be better off in the Marine Corps than you would in college. You might be better off in, the oil rigs than, in the Army. Everything is subjective. Take a very, very hard, long look. And even if you make it that far in whatever you double down on, and you're feeling like you made some regrets, just be optimistic. Make the best of it. That's all you could ever really do.
That's good. That's good to keep it simple. I like that. Stay focused. Don't change course. Don't move with the water because the water always moves.
Yes, sir.
You got to stay. You know what I'm saying? So that's good, man. Devin, appreciate it. Hey, you take to the last drip. You know what I'm saying? People are gonna ask. I'm telling you right now. Anyways, it's just water, ladies and gentlemen. It's just water. It's freaking
I promise.
working hours. Well, unless you're on liberal.
I've kept my bearing the duration of the podcast, so hopefully that advocates for me.
No, right, true. No swearing. Hey, man. Like I said, man, the offer's on the table. If you want to come back, talk about something that's on your mind, hit it. And like I said, if I can help you with anything, you just give me a call. You got my number. Service numbers helping service members. That's what it's all about. Whatever tool I can learn something from a young head, right? Young blood. I'm old head trying to learn new tricks, trying to keep up with the times. So let me know how I can help you. All right, I'm a servant in my trade, and I think vice versa for you. The same mentality. So whatever I can do for you. Again, thanks for coming on. This is Pit Talk, pulling pits and the pins with your host Gunny G and Devin Daniels. We out.
Thank you.
Hey, you got my number down. Let me know.
Will do, Gunny.
All right, y'all.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
You're good, dog.
All right. Stay safe. Thank you.